it out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 602nd edition of Energy Week with George Harvey. Nancy Wolf is not here today. I'm recording this on the 5th of December, which is a Thursday, and the news that I'm dealing with starts a week ago today on Thursday, the 28th of November. The items in the news come from my blog, geoharvey.com, geoharvey.com. And if you want to go to a news site a news article that I'm talking about, you can go there and find it on the date by clicking on the calendar, or you can go below if you happen to have it on the computer that you're on, assuming that you're on a computer. There is, in the program description, a link through a site called tinyurl, which takes you to the what I call the script for this show, which is actually just a list of synopses of with links, various articles. Every article on the show is in that list, and every article in the list is on the show. So that's probably the easier site. But however that may be, let's start. I'm starting with an item from Renews, picture of ships at work. The name of the company here is NEU Connect, which I think is probably pronounced Neukonnect. I think that's a mishmash of German and English. Connect in German is not connect. It's I forget what it is. Neukonnect advances UK Germany and energy link. The Neukonnect project reached another key milestone this week with the first phase of cabling works now complete on land and in UK waters as the first direct energy link between the UK and Germany starts to take shape. At a cost of 2.8 billion euros, the subsea cable is 725 kilometers long. Now, 725 kilometers is a fair distance. Obviously, what they're doing is they're laying a cable between the UK and Germany so that whoever has a need for more power can get it from the other, if it's possible to do that. This particular cable, according to my notes, is 1.4 gigawatts. Now, I think of a kind of large modern day nuclear plant as being 1 gigawatt. So you can see that at 1.4 gigawatts, this is a big transmission project. And 725 kilometers, I'm going to have to guess because I haven't done the math, but I think that's about 430 miles, 440 miles. Big project. Okay, the next item that we have is also from Renews. It is we have a picture here of offshore wind turbines. These were put up by Vestas. And Vestas, by the way, is a big wind turbine manufacturer. The title of this article is Vestas confirms 900 megawatt Nordsee cluster B order. I don't know why they do this. I do know why they do it. They like showing off, I guess. Nordsee is North Sea. Cluster, again, I think they just took an English word and stuck it in. Vestas confirms 900 megawatt Nordsee Cluster B order. Vestas confirmed a turbine order for RWE's 900 megawatt Nordsee Cluster B offshore wind project in Germany after RWE reached a final investment decision on the 1,600 megawatt Nordsee Cluster complex in the German North Sea in May of 2024. The order includes 60 V236 15 megawatt wind turbines. The way these numbers work, what this means is that the wind turbine, let me put that back up again. The wind turbines are 236 meters across, which is gigantic, and 15 megawatts. So one of these wind turbines, just as a guess, at a useful speed, let's say, would probably provide enough electricity for Brattleboro. Although I think that if we put one on top of Wantasticate Mountain, there would be some objections raised by local citizens. Okay, our next item is a solar farm in, this is courtesy of D.E. Shaw Renewable Instruments. This is from Solar Power World. And I'm gonna put this up. I want to bring your attention to the fact that in the left side of that picture, about a third of the way up, is a pond, and then running across the picture from the pond, but it goes upwards from the pond on the picture is what looks like a stream, and it looks like there's another stream, or maybe just more of the same stream in the distance. They didn't put solar panels on that because those are wetlands, and you don't put solar panels on wetlands. Anyway, D.E. Shaw completed a 50 megawatt solar tracker project. That's the title. Entergy Louisiana and D.E. Shaw Renewable Investments started commercial operations at Sunlight Road Solar in Washington Parish, Louisiana. Washington Parish is pretty far east in Louisiana. I don't know how to, it's northeast of New Orleans. The 50 megawatt solar facility in Franklinton, developed and built by Desri being D.E. Shaw Renewable, will supply power to Entergy Louisiana grid. This is something. Entergy has been putting up solar farms in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, you name it. I shouldn't have said Mississippi. I don't actually remember that, but Louisiana and Arkansas, other parts of the South, I believe, and they're not afraid to put up nuclear power, whatever, but they're putting up solar farms where they can. Solar electricity is the cheapest electricity available, cheaper than wind power. It's going in like mad, and we will get to that shortly in this broadcast. So we're up to Friday, November 29th, and we have a picture. Okay, I'm gonna start out with the picture. This is a picture of a wind technician at work, and it is from GWEC. This is from Renews also. 500,000 wind technicians needed by 2028. That's the title. About 532,000 new wind technicians. I don't know that new is proper in that location. Will need to be hired worldwide by 2028 to meet increasing demand for onshore and offshore wind power. According to the Global Wind Energy Council, which is GWEC, about 40% of these posts will need to be filled by new entrants, which is the reason why I said new wind technicians. About 40% of the new wind technicians being hired need to be new entrants. In other words, of the new wind technicians being hired, 60% will be experienced. And this is according to GWEC's Global Wind Workforce Outlook. Now, if you look at that picture, you can see in an instant why I would not apply for a job as a wind technician. The person who is working on that wind turbine, which is not a huge onshore wind turbine, probably climbed a vertical ladder about 30 stories tall or something like that to get to where he is. They don't have elevators in these things, at least not most of them, and you have to be physically, let me say, adept, fit, to go up that a ladder that long. I had a piece on this show maybe 8 years ago about a young woman named Kilroy. I think it was Jessica Kilroy. I might be wrong about that, but she had, as a girl, she had had a disability of some kind, and she overcame this by doing rock climbing. She lived in western Montana, and she was became a wind turbine technician because she had become so used to climbing. And I've seen pictures of her dangling from the nacelle of a wind turbine down a blade that had been struck by lightning so she could do some repairs to the blade. Excuse me. She was not a new technician, but at that time I went through what the entry-level pay is for a wind technician in Massachusetts, and I found that it was close to $50,000 a year. That was median pay for a first year wind turbine technician. I looked it up today. I found that that's approximately the pay that I got from the inquiry. I don't know where the data comes from. It might be several years old, but these are not poorly paying jobs. Let me put it that way. Even so, not me. Okay, I'm going to switch to the next picture. I kind of like this picture. It's a picture of Havana. This article came from MSN, and the title is Cuba Decrees Contingency Plan, New Restrictions as Energy Crisis Deepens. In Cuba, new regulations summarized in a 16-page decree give top energy consumers in both public and private sector 3 years to install renewable energy sources capable of producing at least 50% of the electricity they consume during daylight hours. Okay, that's one way of making it easier to deal with energy crisis. You know, I want you to look at this picture again. Look at those cars. I think most of those cars, a couple of them come from the late 50s. Some of them come from the early 50s. By the time I was driving, they would have been considered old. But you know, when Castro took over, the United States stopped doing anything with Cuba, any trade or anything like that, and the Cubans just went on without trade from the United States. They were able to go on. They got to be really good at making sure that they kept their cars in condition. Americans, we're a little lazy by comparison. The thing that they're doing, however, is they're saying that the large consumers of electricity have to have 50% of their daytime consumption of electricity covered themselves, which strikes me as being, you know, when you consider Cuba, a pretty reasonable approach. It's not putting a burden on the ordinary people. Okay, let's go on. We have a picture of Joshua trees. There we go. I think the cursor that I see on one of my mice might be wandering. This is from ABC News. The title is California Drafts Plans to Save Its Iconic and Imperiled Joshua Trees. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife released a 294-page plan to protect the state's Joshua trees from wildfires, human development, and climate change. The draft plan calls for minimizing impacts from overgrazing, use of pesticides, and unauthorized off-roading. Well, overgrazing, use of pesticides, and unauthorized off-roading are things that they can deal with. Climate change, I'm not so sure about. I'm worried about these Joshua trees. I don't know how they're going to survive. It's possible that let me put it this way, the thing that I'm seeing as the future of this part of California is that it's going to be alternating perhaps between excessively dry periods, which might last for years, and excessively wet periods. So it's going to be flooded part of the time, a small part of the time, and in drought the rest of the time. Now, the Joshua trees might be set up to survive that, but it's not going to be identical to what it has been in the past. So we are up to Saturday, November 30th, and whoops, we have a picture of a geothermal energy site in Mexico. There we go. This particular photograph comes from the president of Mexico, although I think probably not Claudia Sheinbaum, probably the preceding president. It was made before she became president. The title of this article is 60% of Latin America's electricity is generated from renewable energy. That, when you compare that to the United States, where maybe 30%, we are behind. We are behind. And will Donald Trump bring us up? I kind of doubt it, you know. He seems to think that renewable energy is not important. Anyway, let me read the synopsis here. According to the analysis that collects data from the according to the analysis that collects data from the International Energy Agency, 60% of Latin America's electricity is generated from renewable energy, making it one of the cleanest energy networks in the world. Chile, Mexico, and Brazil are leading countries. Okay, I'm going to argue with this. I don't think Chile, Mexico, and Brazil are the leading countries. I think Costa Rica and Paraguay are the leading countries. Costa Rica and Paraguay both get approximately 100% of their electricity from renewables now. Chile and Brazil both get high percentages. By comparison to Costa Rica and Paraguay, however, they've got a ways to go. But the bottom line on this is the countries in Latin America are doing very well when it comes to transitioning to renewable electricity compared to the United States. There are other countries that are close to 100%. Costa Rica and Paraguay. Paraguay has been 100% renewable electricity for a long time, quite a few years. I think when this show started, it was already 100%, as was Albania, and as was possibly Iceland. But Costa Rica has brought itself up from close to 100%, perhaps 90% to 100% in the last few years. I think probably about 3 years ago. So that's what they are doing. The next picture is a picture of Iceland ponies. Let me get this going. There we go. Ponies in Iceland. And this is from Renews. The title of the article is Enercon Secures 120 Megawatt Iceland Contract. Enercon and state-owned energy supplier Landsvirkjun, and I've probably pronounced that wrong, but I don't speak Icelandic, signed a contract for first large-scale wind farm in Iceland. It is expected to have 28 of the E138 EP3 turbines with a total capacity of 120 megawatts. The wind farm will be built on an area of 17 square kilometers in the south of Iceland, about 130 kilometers south of Reykjavik. So I want to comment on this picture. I like this picture. And these guys and girls, the one who's standing close, I suspect is a female. And the reason I suspect it's a female is that animal looks pregnant to me. I could be wrong, but she looks kind of lopsided and bulgy. They remind me of Shetland ponies. I don't know that they're, I kind of suspect that they're bigger than Shetland ponies, but not much. And this is a matter of not having a lot of feed, having to deal with a small amount of feed. And in Shetland, it's the same thing. And by the way, just in case anybody cares and thinks it's neat to know, there is a thing, as you know, called a Shetland pony, but there's also a thing called a Shetland cow. And the Shetland cows are like Shetland ponies. They're small for the same reason that ponies are. Okay. I will go on. This is a picture of solar panels in Virginia. The title of this article is Tech in Asia. I'm sorry. The source of the article is a publication called Tech in Asia. The title is U.S. sets tariffs up to 271% on Southeast Asia solar imports. This is not Donald Trump threatening to produce high tariffs and then producing them. This is the Biden administration actually producing high tariffs. And I don't know what's going to happen. I doubt very much that Donald Trump is going to reduce those tariffs, but let me read the synopsis and then discuss it. The U.S. Department of Commerce announced preliminary duties of up to 271% on solar imports from Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. The decision targets crystalline silicon PV cells and modules. U.S. solar panel makers see trade practices of the Southeast Asia area as unfair. Well, yeah, they do. And the thing that precipitated the trade war that Donald Trump introduced during his first administration was the fact that China was producing solar panels and selling them at a price that was below what it cost to produce them, which was in turn driving American solar manufacturers out of business. And two American solar manufacturers went out of business. Then he declared this tariff trade war thing. The United States under the Biden administration has been trying very hard to make sure that solar panels and solar cells were manufactured at reasonable prices in the United States. And the Chinese have apparently been shipping solar cells for assembly into solar panels to Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. This is not terribly complicated, but there's a lot going on there. So I'm going to go on. We have an item from ABC News. I swear this cursor is moving on its own. Maybe I'm wrong. The title of that picture, by the way, is the Peace Palace, which is Peace Palace in The Hague. I believe it's in The Hague. I might be wrong. Landmark climate change case will open at the top UN court. The reason that picture is there, the Peace Palace, is because the top UN court is in that building. It used to be that the entire administration of the UN, high administration of the UN, was in that building, but it moved elsewhere. The synopsis for this article says, after years of lobbying by island nations, the top UN court is to take up the largest case in its history. It is opening 2 weeks of hearings into what countries are legally required to do to combat climate change and help vulnerable nations fight its devastating impact. And I'm beginning to think that my cursor is not wandering around on its own. It had been wandering around because I had been bumping the mouse with my hand. This is going to be an interesting development. The island nations, some of these island nations are at a point where ocean rise is driving them the people have to move. They can't stay on the islands they're on because there's no place to live on them. The beaches, the area that was between houses and the sea have disappeared, and what's left is just a very small amount of land with houses on it and the sea. And when you have a storm with a storm surge, it gets flooded, and that's life now. So a lot of these countries have been spending money for which they don't have a lot of, for places that they can move to that feel familiar, and they are upset because the United States and Europe and China and India and you name it is just pumping out carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases as though it doesn't matter. So they're stuck, and it doesn't feel fair. They don't think it's fair. They want something to be done about it. The UN is going to be looking into it. Okay, we have Lara Magazine, L-A-R-A Magazine, telling us about the next article. The title here is Aviation Industry Told to Prepare for Inevitable Impact of Climate Change. A report says the aviation industry must prepare for the effects of climate change to ensure the continued safety and effectiveness of air travel. It says disruptive weather patterns such as extreme temperatures, storms, and flooding will increasingly pose risks. Now, this is a little bit different from the stories that have appeared in the past about aviation. In the past, we've talked about the fact that the amount of carbon emissions that are produced by a jet, for example, on a per passenger mile basis is extremely high. So if you're going to take a jet from Boston to New York, or I'm sorry, from Boston to London, or New York to Paris, or whatever, there's a lot of carbon emissions that are associated with that, which is why Greta Thunberg went across the ocean on a sailboat that had been volunteered by somebody. Here, we're talking about something different. What we're talking about is the aviation industry and the fact that it's going to be flying through areas of more disruptive weather conditions, higher temperatures, more rain, more lightning, wind shear, downdrafts, updrafts, flooding. You know, it's not nice to get to an airport from someplace else on an airplane and discover that you can't land because the airport is flooded or whatever. And these risks are risks. Probably you wouldn't get there and discover that it's flooded and you have to go to a different airport, but you could be in Boston with the idea that you're going to go to Heathrow in London and discover that the weather conditions in Heathrow are such that you might not be able to land, so the airplane that you're supposed to be in is delayed. That can happen, and it does happen, but it will very likely happen more. So the aviation industry is going to have to take that into account in the future. Okay, we have a Chevy Blazer patrol car, which is an EV. It's an electric vehicle. And there it is. This article is from Clean Technica. The title is Connecticut Police Departments Test Our EVs with Some Naysayers. Some test out EVs. Some Connecticut police departments are piloting EVs for their workday needs. With EV prices near at parity with internal combustion engine vehicles and highly efficient batteries providing more than adequate range, it makes sense. But local media are spreading myths. Well, that's hardly a surprise. The advantages of electric vehicles for police departments are big. For example, a police car might only last 3 years before it's too old. If it has an internal combustion engine, because the engine has to be running all the time at idle much of the day while the car is on duty. A battery operated police car doesn't do that. And there are other reasons why battery operated cars have got advantages. Speed is one of them. If you put together a car to have 1,000 horsepower, it's going to have 1,000 horsepower if it's powered by battery. And, you know, the batteries are so much more efficient in terms of delivering power to the road. An internal combustion engine vehicle might actually be delivering 17% of its power to the road. And, well, we are up to Monday, December 2nd, and we have a pleasant picture of a vineyard This is from MSN. The title is Leading California Winery Makes Transition to 100% Solar Power. A leading sustainable winery in Alexander Valley is making major strides once again after announcing a crucial energy switch. A report by Wine Industry Advisor says Skipstone has just gone 100% solar. Thanks to a solar craft installation, Skipstone fully runs on solar power. This reminds me of a story that came out several years ago when there were horrible fires in Northern California in the Napa Valley, and there was a winery in the in that area where the electrical power was all from local solar sources, which it is in this case. The winery was also controlled electrically through routes that went through the internet, and its internet connections could be had from satellite. So the employees evacuated, and they used their irrigation system to make sure that there was enough water in the soil, in the plants, and so forth, that they wouldn't burn. And when they came back to the winery, the areas all around them had burned, but that one winery was still in shape. There are reasons that don't stand out immediately as the reasons to do solar power, but that's one of them. Now we have another one. This is from Clean Technica, and this is a picture of Carver Solar. And this is, well, let me read the title. Solar power converts cranberry bog, and you'll notice some of those fields are kind of purplish, cranberry bog into efficient power source. In Carver, Massachusetts, a 7.1 megawatt DC community solar installation with a 4 megawatt 2-hour battery storage system will supply clean energy to nearby institutions and residents through Eversource Energy. The array was sited on 28 acres of a cranberry bog. I think that was 28 acres that was associated with a cranberry bog, not 28 acres of cranberry bog itself, because the farmers who farm cranberry bogs put a lot of value on their bogs. And I used to live in Plymouth and Kingston, Massachusetts, and Carver, of course, is just west of Plymouth. So this is land that I don't know exactly where this is, but I feel like it's land that I'm very familiar with. I'm going to go on. Except I do want to reiterate. I think the solar array, let me put that back up. The solar array that you're looking at there was not put up on a cranberry bog, and in fact, as I look at that, the cranberry bogs around there look to me like they were built around a wooded area. And what happened here was the wooded area was, actually, you can tell, this was not a cranberry bog because it goes up and down. You look at those solar panels on the right, they curve up and down. The land there is not level. Cranberry bogs are level. So this was not built on a cranberry bog. This was built on land associated with a cranberry bog, which is a very different thing. So there I've solved my puzzle. I'll go on. Wind turbines. This is from MSN. Australia opens tender for 6 gigawatts of renewable energy projects. Australia opened registration for tender 4 of its capacity investment scheme for 6 gigawatts of renewable capacity in the national electricity market. Stage A for project bids will open on the 13th of December 2024. Bidders will have until the 18th of February to submit project bids. Okay, this is tender 4, and it's 6 gigawatts. The tenders for wind and solar projects in Australia are huge. And in this particular case, okay, this is a huge amount of capacity that they're planning on bringing into what is called here the national electricity market. I want to mention about that. The national electricity market in Australia is not national. The national electricity market really does not cover Western Australia at all, and Western Australia is probably about 40% of the country. It doesn't cover all of possibly any other state in Australia or territory. I don't think it certainly doesn't cover all of the Northern Territory, and I don't think it covers all of Southern Australia. But I doubt that it covers all of Queensland, Victoria, or what am I missing there? New South Wales. It probably does cover all of Tasmania, but the point is the electricity market in Australia is so diffuse that it's not connected into a single grid. And in fact, it's being disconnected now because the grid connections that had gone to some of the interior towns, you could have 100 miles of transmission lines or more just to support 150 people in a village. And that's very expensive. That's going to give you very expensive electricity. So, yeah. But they are putting in projects that are very big. Now, here is an interesting site. Cows and PVs together from Rutgers University. And Rutgers University will give you a clue to where this thing is. This is from Clean Technica. And the title of the article is Small U.S. State Launches Game-Changing Agrivoltaic Project. Well, Rutgers is in New Jersey. You can just guess that it's New Jersey where this is happening. One of our smallest states has been punching way above its weight for installed solar capacity for almost 25 years. Now, a New Jersey project is in the works to draw more farms into the agrivoltaic movement, in which solar panels and agriculture combine for mutual benefit. Well, I want to say couple of things about this. Solar panels and agriculture combine in many ways for mutual benefit. Solar panels don't have to be, as they're pictured here, they don't have to be vertical. Vertical is good if you're going to be running farm equipment through there, and you don't want to have to reach under the solar panels. Those panels, by the way, are bifacial. So when they could be facing east and west, which is an ideal way for them to be set up. When the sun rises, they immediately start making electricity. And when the sun sets, is about to set, they are making electricity. The time when they are not doing the full amount is during at the noontime when other solar panels are doing a lot. But agrivoltaics work very well with a lot of stuff on farms. There was a recent study that was done by the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany. They had 3 different kinds of peppers growing under solar panels, with identical plots of peppers growing next to them without the solar panels. The ones under the solar panels were growing at a depending upon which of the varieties was being grown. One of them grew a little bit better than the ones that were out in the full sun. One of them produced twice as much peppers as the ones that were in the full sun, and one of them produced 3 times as much peppers as the ones in the full sun. Tomatoes do better, potatoes do better, a lot of plants do better under solar panels than they do out in the full sun. And if you're worried about agrivoltaics, depending upon panels that have cadmium or arsenic in them, let's get a law that says you can't use panels with cadmium or arsenic for agrivoltaic purposes. It does not make sense to tell farmers that they are not allowed to make enough money to survive. Anyway, we should probably go on. We have a Ford Mustang, and there it is. And I don't like this picture. I should have searched around for something better. This is from Clean Technica. The title is Automakers Attempt to Cultivate Trump's Good Side While They Push to Stay the Course on EV Mandates. Very interesting. A coalition of 42 automakers, including Ford and General Motors, sent a letter to President-elect Donald J. Trump requesting to continue the current EV policies favoring existing EV tax incentives and emissions regulations. So these companies, including Ford and GM, want to have the incentives for EVs, and they want to have the emissions regulations. That's what they're asking for. And, you know, you can read the article. I don't think it really tells you an awful lot more than that. Well, it does, but you know, the bottom line on this article is that these companies, I think I could put it a different way that will shine a little light on it. They want consistent policies. They have got themselves set up for the policies of Joe Biden. They don't want new policies that backstep, because they know they're going to have to hit policies that work toward Joe Biden's policies again. Okay, we have a picture of a solar farm. This is from Renew Economy, which, by the way, is an Australian website. The title is Wind, Solar, and Rooftop PV Set Out Output Records and Send Coal and Gas Plunging to New Lows. The record season for renewable energy has extended from its traditional period over spring into summer, with numerous output records tumbling for instantaneous generation of large-scale wind, solar farms, and rooftop PVs in Australia. Now, I will remind people that we are about to go into winter. They are about to go into summer. And by the way, I heard somebody say, it's December, it's officially winter. And I said, what are you talking about? And the person kind of repeated it. And I thought, oh, this person is talking about the meteorological people, the weather people, talking about dividing the year up on a month-to-month basis, so that winter starts on the 1st of December and ends on the last day of February, which is what they're doing as a matter of convenience officially. But winter starts with the solstice, and that is worldwide and just what it is. The solstice in Australia is the same date as our winter solstice, is their summer solstice, because they're south of the equator. Okay. They're setting records in Australia, and this picture really kind of tells you about a solar farm. Okay. The next item, we're up to Wednesday, December 4th. This is a picture of a dust devil. Now, I want to point out, I got this picture because I wanted to have a picture of something that indicated hot weather, local hot weather. Dust devils don't require heat, but they work better with a little extra heat. Or I should say they work better when there is a heat differential, where there's cold air and hot air, and they're not mixing very well. And so you produce a local updraft, and that produces a circular rotation in the air. And by the way, dust devils usually have the same circular rotation as tornadoes and hurricanes, but not always, because they're so small that the Coriolis effect is not such a big deal. Okay, faster than predicted, heat wave hotspots defy climate models. This is about climate models. A study in the Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences revealed that the hottest regions on Earth are experiencing extreme heat trends that far exceed the projections of state-of-the-art climate models. It raises a question of how we can deal with climate change. This is not, every week I have some thing that is not very good, and this is not very good. The climate models don't work. And one thing that I should put that back up. One thing I should point out is there's a dust devil. There is a hay devil, where the hay is picked up before it can be baled. There is such a thing as a snow devil. All you need is one area that is much warmer than another area, and producing an updraft. So that's what it does. Okay, I'm going to go on. We have a picture of a Hyundai Ioniq 5. This is from Clean Technica. Hyundai Ioniq 5 sales soar 110% in the United States. This is up 110% from what they were last year. Hyundai's Ioniq 5 started out a bit quietly when it hit the U.S. market. Zachary Shahan, who is the editor of Clean Technica, let me put that back up, liked the Kia EV6 a bit more, but he says the Ioniq 5 has grown on him. And it would be now his number one choice for a new electric car if he were ready to buy one. Other people have said similar things. Now, I've got this up so that you can see that, things are happening. The Ioniq 5 is a hot car right now. People like it. But there's another thing I want to mention here, and that is there are certain words you always have to be careful of. One is efficiency. Another is percentages. I tell people that you don't know what efficiency means unless you know what it means. And I say the same thing about percentages. Percentages in general, well, let me put it this way. Let's say that we had a car that we sold 10 of last year, and this year we sold 21 of. That's a 110% increase. Is that impressive enough to write about? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think it would make much difference. It's one of those. I'd like to know what the actual numbers are, but nevertheless, when Zach Shahan is writing something about a car, it's probably a good idea to pay attention. And now we have our last article. This is also from Clean Technica. We have a postal delivery truck. This particular postal delivery truck is electric. The title of the article is U.S. Postal Workers Love Their New Electric Mail Trucks. New electric mail trucks have been spotted all across the United States. It's been all smiles for carriers since the U.S. Postal Service launched its new fleet of electric mail trucks. What's changed with the new USPS electric mail trucks? Nearly everything, with some changes suggested by workers. Now, there's a backstory to this. I forget what year it was that the previous electric trucks were accepted into use. But it might have been 25 years ago, it might have been 30 years ago, but they've been in use for a long time. And of course, they burn gasoline, which means that they give off fumes and they make noise. And people who drive them all day are on the road all day with vehicles that make noise and give off fumes. When the bids went out for new vehicles, the head of the post office is a man named DeJoy, and he has not been in favor of electric vehicles. So he's been very resistant to getting them put in. But what happened was, by the time it came time to actually manufacture the new trucks, it was clear that the electric vehicles were going to be saving the post office a lot of money. And as the price of electric vehicles goes down, the savings goes up. The electric postal trucks were more expensive than the ones powered by gasoline. They might not be anymore. They might be. But if they are close to being the same price, if they're 10% more or something like that, and here I'm talking about percentages after warning you, if they cost a little more, we're talking about vehicles that don't have to idle. So when the postal delivery person stops the vehicle and opens the window and reaches out to put the mail into the mailbox, there's no worry about the wind blowing exhaust into the cabin. There are many reasons why these are better. Now, that is the last article. The thing that I'm going to say to you to end this show is, I want you to have a mind-bogglingly easy week. So, have a good week, a mind-bogglingly easy week. And I will see you next time. Come for a visit, and we'll do what we can do. Okay? Bye.